Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 400 of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing Halloween 3, a film voted on by you, the fans.
You forgot Season of the Witch!
Season of the Witch.
Witch!
I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joining me tonight, first up, a lot of people just got to experience Joe dancing for the first time on the live stream. He is the beer aficionado of Bloody Good Horror, and his name is Joe.
Oh, I am so out of breath right now.
Next up on the show, in case you didn't know, he builds bloodygoodhorror.com with his magical little web beaver hands. His name is Mark.
What even is Joe?
Who knows? Who is phone? That's all I have to say.
Joe is phone, I think.
Next up on the show, published author of horror fiction and co-host of the Instamatic. His name is Casey.
Hi!
How's it going, Casey?
It's going well, Eric. How are you?
And last up tonight, coming to you through the magic of Facebook Live, he is the business manager at bloodygoodhorror.com. Coming to you from the only place a business manager would live, Manhattan, New York. His name is John Schnars.
It's business headquarters.
What's up, Schnars?
Eric, it's lovely to be here. 400th time.
It's episode 400. Like I said, we're reviewing Halloween 3. That was voted on by the fans. And we also decided, as a kind of special thing for 400, that we would just push the live stream out to as many people as possible, kind of give them an idea of what they might be missing if they're not patrons.
The majesty is what we call it.
And it's a great time, too, because John's in the middle of a facial hair growing thing, so you really get to see... You get to watch John's light hair grow in real time.
John's got hair in places he never thought was possible.
You get to watch Schnars record the show with stubble, and I'm pretty sure just the undershirt that he wore under his regular shirt to work today.
Correct. Correct.
Nice. We're trying to see if we can time John's balls dropping right when he does the word of the day.
Oh, Joe.
Exciting. Anyway, if we'll move on here, but if you're watching the stream, you like what you see, you want to check out more of us like this, check out patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Now, to the task at hand, John Schnars.
Eric.
Halloween is over.
Yes.
If the world doesn't end in like 48 hours, what's our upcoming schedule look like, just in case people were curious?
So the spooky season has officially concluded. However, we have 2 more theatrical releases coming before the end of the year. There's a couple of things on the schedule. Some have already been due January. But actually next week,
sorry, you crazy fritzed out for a second. Try that again.
Yeah, you Max Headroomed that shit. I liked it.
Next week, we will be hitting up Shut In. It's a movie. I think it's actually had a foreign release already. We're a little behind the times, apparently. Also coming out is Arrival. We're going to, I think, pick that up the following week. So we'll be back to back in the theater.
I'm really excited for that one. It's it's a little out of our wheelhouse, but we do like to kind of stretch and do a little hard sci-fi every once in a while.
I mean, the aliens could just kill a shitload of people. That would,
it's true.
Put it right back in our wheelhouse. The only other theatrical we've got first week of December is a film called Incarnate, which is I believe, WWE film.
Right.
They've been
Thank God.
A lot of it.
Finally.
There's no way that's a wide release, is it?
I'm pretty sure. It looks like it's going wide. Again, based on what we're getting right now.
Hey, Joe, WWE Studios is a serious business now.
The W stands for world, after all, Joe.
All right.
It leaves us 3 open weeks. We're going to try to pick up 3 movies for end of year potential viewing ratings and whatnot. Right now, we're penciled in I Am Not a Serial Killer. There's a movie called The Monster, and still
Bad
TBD.
Santa 2.
Bad Santa 2, yeah. Listen, there's costumes.
Love it. Mark.
Yeah.
bloodygoodhorror.com. Is there anything going on? Can we give people an update on the book club, like how to find book club stuff, even when Cece's not here?
So, well, a couple things.
If you like reading, which CC does. Me not so much. CC does.
Art thou bookish?
I read a lot on the internet like every day. I think that I read like
Mostly
a book.
is like 140 characters, and
I
then
don't think that counts
the
as a
next
book
thing.
though.
I
don't
read
know
like a
if
book a
that's-
day, basically.
Yeah. Well, so we have among our wonderful BGH community offerings, one of the things that we are most proud of is our book club, run by our very own spooky witch of literary delights, Cece.
I like that.
And so we do a new book every month, much like Oprah. I don't know if Oprah's every month, but if you go to bloodygoodhorror.com and you click on book club, it'll take you to our Goodreads book club. We use Goodreads to manage it because it's, it has all the kind of infrastructure built in for picking the books and that sort of thing. And you can also just go to Goodreads and search for Bloody Good Horror. So that's definitely something. If you're bookish, you should definitely be a part of our book club. I am not bookish, so I'm not a part of it. But
I think if you read 6 of the books too, you get a certificate for a personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut.
We send out puffy stickers to go on oversized pins, and we should really do that. I think we have the infrastructure for that, right, John?
Yeah. Well,
We
can
order
work it out.
some like gel star stickers and some oversized pins. What do you think?
Sure.
Banana stickers.
It's in the budget.
So that's the book club. Also, among other things going on. So as we mentioned, we have just passed spooky season, and one of our sort of new outputs from the spooky season was our watch list feature. So if you go to bloodygoodhorror.com, they're still actually pretty prominently featured on the front page. And we all listed out our favorite movies to watch around Halloween time. And just because the time has passed doesn't mean that you can't go back and watch it. Also, a new addition, just in time to miss Halloween. If you are looking through our watch list and you want to find a way to watch it, we actually have Amazon links hooked up to all of the movies. So for the most part, it is streaming options. So if you click on the links and you're logged in, let's say you have a Prime account, it'll tell you if you can watch it. If you don't have a Prime account, you can rent it, and that kicks us back a little bit of moolah. And also, it's just a great way to get to the movies. Also, they have an integration with Shudder. So if you are a Shudder member and you click on our Amazon links, it'll tell you if it's on Shudder or not. And they also have deals with Showtime and all that. So that's from our watch list. And then in the next couple of weeks, you should see those Amazon links popping up on reviews too. So if you're reading one of our reviews, our reviews kind of run the gamut between older and newer movies. So you might not be able to get to it right for a newer movie, but like as we're posting reviews of older films, like today, we had a review of The Blob, which I was so excited to see on the site.
Which one?
The old
original.
one. The OG Blob.
The OG Blob. Got it.
Yeah, with the theme song and everything. So we have new reviews on the site every day. That's a great way to keep track of that. And yeah, just be on the lookout for new stuff all the time. Also, Sophie's been reviewing season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is awesome. And also, Evan's been posting lots of Let's Play videos on his YouTube or on our YouTube channel.
Can we just take a moment?
Yeah,
I need to say, if you like watching other people play video games, which as people know who watch the show is a big thing of mine. It's like literally every day for me. There is almost nothing more delightful than watching Evan play through Resident Evil 4. And there's a couple of reasons to this. One, he has a really good thing in these videos, which is that I can tell he's played this game 400 times. And so as he turns a corner, he like knows what's going to be there. And it's like, so he's got the knowledge of the game, but also Evan is delightful. And so it's just like a lot of fun to listen to him like suss things out. I highly recommend it. youtube.com/BGH video.
For sure. And he's very motivated to do more video game stuff. So be on the lookout for that. I'm kind of
it's great. I love it.
in talks with him about doing it. He's delightful. We should try and get him a Twitch account. Sorry.
And Resident
He's
Evil
just a motivated guy.
Resident Evil 4 in general is just like a really weird game. So I've actually watched people play through that multiple times. It's a weird one.
Yeah. So we have tons of stuff going on the website and the larger BGH umbrella. So the bloodygoodhorror.com is kind of the hub for all of that. And
when he does those, do they get posted on our site?
I'm not so good about posting them on the website, but if you subscribe, you subscribe on YouTube, they're there. He posts a little too fast for me. No, I'm actually working on hopefully backfilling some of that video stuff at some point.
He's a little too fast and loose with the posting. I'm not comfortable.
He just like posts when it's just all the time.
Well, that's a good thing. We want to encourage that type
that's
of
true.
posting. Yeah.
That's absolutely
Let's
a
not
thing.
shame him. Great.
There's only so many hours.
I love it. All of that and more can be found at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joe,
Yes,
time-
sir.
it's time to get down to brass tacks here.
Oh, fuck yeah.
We're
Right to
reviewing,
business.
We're reviewing Halloween 4. I would like to know what we will be drinking while we're doing that.
Hell yeah. Halloween 4, the only thing you need to know is Tom Atkins is
Oh.
a sex machine.
Halloween 3. Sorry.
Halloween 3. Yeah, whatever.
He's still a sex machine, though.
Still a sex machine, all the way up through 12. Pretty much, Tom Atkins plays a doctor who apparently has banged every woman in the greater California area. And in honor of that, I picked a beer from the fine folks at Tarina Brewing, based out of Lake Mills, Wisconsin. And this is their Down and Dirty Chocolate Oatmeal Stout.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know. I expected like some sort of like virtual high five or like maybe great job, Joe. But whatever. We can move
I
on.
like kind of gagged in my throat a little. I don't even get picked up on microphone.
So this is a chocolate stout, as the name says. A lot of coffee notes in this as well. Obviously, chocolate is like the big thing that kind of kicks you in the balls on this one. But very sort of heavy isn't the right word, but it's a meaty beer. This isn't something you're gonna, drink while you're mowing the lawn or something.
When I think of delicious words to describe beers, meaty is not one of them.
Oh,
You know who would drink this to mow the lawn? Tom Atkins in Halloween 3.
probably.
Yeah, he would.
Sure.
Who would share this with a hobo in a back alley?
Tom Atkins.
But yeah, so like big sort of roasted coffee notes. Obviously, chocolate is a big part of this one. The oatmeal, so they usually use oats in the brewing process, so it gives it like, and again, this is going to be a bad way to describe it, but almost like a chewy, like it's a very like thick beer.
I like when my
Go on.
things you can chew in it. That's when you know it's good.
You could set your clock by this beer.
Are you sure you didn't get drunk and eat a steak?
Comes in at about 6.5% alcohol, so a little higher than what you normally find on the shelf. Really nothing in the way of like hops or anything with this. Like really the malt and the sort of roasted flavor takes the forefront here. And it's a great beer. I love it. I've had it a bunch of times, so if you can track it down, I definitely suggest it. TYRANENA.com is their website, and they distribute pretty well throughout the Midwest, and I think they're even getting kind of on like the East and West Coast. So if you see their stuff, I would say check it out.
Thank
And
you
then
for
mow the
that,
lawn,
Joe.
maybe. Just
And
Yeah. I was waiting for Joe's response. He like started
No.
saying something, then he just stopped.
Yeah.
I'm excited that we're gonna make episode 400 our worst to date. I'm very very excited about that.
All right, guys, that's the beer recommendation. Something you get every week here in the show with Mr. Joe. Now let's do it. Let's take a quick break so that we can discuss Halloween 3.
Jesus wept.
This is Jake Busey. You're listening to the Bloody Good Horror Podcast.
This is it, Senator. Your big breaking TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. John Schnars,
Eric.
remind me again where you went to college.
The Duke University.
Oh, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
How do they say that on like college football broadcasts? Are they like the Duke
No,
University?
that's just Ohio State, I think.
Yeah, I
'cause
think that's the Ohio State.
Yeah, we just
The
go
D.
with Duke usually.
Yeah. Great. You learned a lot of fancy words at college.
Yeah, I mean, I knew some words before I got to college, but then I learned some new
Not a
ones. I
one.
guess.
We should
I
probably
majored in words.
We should probably take this time to remind people that you unironically worked at like what was it like as like the guardian of the lost manuscripts or something like
Uh,
that?
it was
You
these.
were- You were
No,
pretty much
that's what
that
they
guy at
called
the
it.
end of Raiders of the Lost Ark that like pushes the
No, you know that show, The Librarians, that they've been like. There's
Yeah.
all the commercials for on TBS.
You're
it's
the
like
librarian.
that. Yeah.
Was your dog named Indy?
Sure. No, it was the Special Collections Library and Rare Book Room.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like
Forget to push your glasses up.
like
You can't make this
Sam,
shit up.
like Samwell at the Citadel, just looking
What was
around.
that? Like, what was a rare book that people would come and take out?
Well, like they had Robert E. Lee's, some of his personal letters.
Of
like,
course
shit
they
like that.
did.
They had no,
I-
well, maybe Joe will appreciate it, but they had all of J. Walter Thompson's correspondences, who's like one of the OG advertising dudes. So there was a lot of like there's a shitload of stuff. I don't know why are we talking about this? Move on.
Schnars went straight for the Robert E. Lee though. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Well, they had some Lincoln stuff.
Anyway,
I mean, you know,
I bring it up as your
yeah. Not a lot of demand for that one though.
I bring it up as your bona fides as to why we have you bring us the word of the day every week. So
I mean,
With
I would
my-
think they'd be well established here at episode 400, but
with my flawless segue out of the way, please bring us the word of the day.
I went to the map for this one, and I came back with Shamrock.
Oh Lord. Come on,
I'll
Joe.
allow it.
S-
No, I'm all right with it. I think I'll...
Shamrock. So a low-growing clover-like plant with 3 lobed leaves, used as the national emblem of Ireland. So Shamrock comes from the Irish.
Also, House of Pain.
Obviously I can't even pronounce like the regular the romance languages. So I'm not going to
Can-
pronounce the Irish here.
Can you say lobed again?
No, we're good. We're good
Great
there.
Corned beef, but also
It
potato.
comes from the word Seamar, which means clover in Irish, which becomes Seamrag, which means trefoil, and then eventually shamrock in the late 16th century. I was curious very quickly on the link to Ireland. So the shamrock was used by St. Patrick to illustrate the Holy Trinity. And so St. Patrick
Oh.
becomes the patron saint of Ireland, yada, yada, yada.
The Holy
Shamrock.
Trinity, like three
Well,
masks.
When we get drunk.
Yeah,
Say again?
yada yada,
Like-
right over the best part.
like 3 masks, maybe, like the Holy Trinity of Halloween masks.
Uh, Interesting. Also Halloween 3.
okay. Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
3 things.
The
That's-
number,
that's-
also the number of lovers Tom Atkinson has in this movie.
Well, that's
Oh.
it. We've spoiled it all for you. Good night, folks.
3 in the family. So yeah.
3, the number of extramarital affairs Tom Atkins is having in this film.
Well, he was divorced. I mean,
No, I don't think he was.
No, he was.
yeah, it
Definitely.
said ex-wife.
I don't think he was.
Oh,
He was on the phone. He said, "My ex-wife."
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, she kept calling him like the drunk doctor and
Yeah.
like
If she was the ex-wife, then why did he have to make up a lie and lie to her about where he was going?
Because he was supposed to take the kids.
Yeah.
Like they're supposed to hand off. He was supposed to be
Because you
picking.
remember
Pay attention.
he brought his kid shitty Halloween masks.
Also,
after
like,
she already
the-
got him the good ones.
Also, like
Silver Seamrog.
the world's most like half-assed lie, and then he just hung up mid-sentence and ran away.
Well,
Hey, it works.
Yeah.
My favorite. I don't know.
She
what I
knew what he
thought
was
said,
doing.
bye.
John, before we get too deep in the weeds here, why don't you tell us what Halloween 3 is about?
Halloween 3 is the story of Dr. Daniel Chalice, a heroic drinker, a womanizer. So it's like, where to even begin with this friggin' movie? So yeah, Tom Atkins plays Daniel Chalice. He is a doctor. He comes into contact with a guy who is sort of like stark raving mad, has survived an attack that we see as sort of the opening sequence of the film by these sort of well-dressed, like suited men who are coming after him, pursuing him. And he survives
like
that.
extras from a Huey Lewis music video, sort of.
Yes, that is not too far off.
They're like the news.
Well, exactly. They were filming that on the next soundstage over, and they just happen to be available. So yeah, Halloween 3, 1982, directed by Tommy Lee Wallace of It fame, which was really, I mean, he really didn't have much else that was of note. But yeah, so Dr. Chalice comes into contact with this guy. He's kind of ranting and raving about this plot, or like they're all gonna kill us, I think he says at one point. And he then meets that guy's daughter, Ellie Grimbridge, and she sort of explains to him that there was like he was buying masks from this place, the Silver Shamrock folks. We've been seeing tons of Silver Shamrock commercials all over TV. Halloween is coming, and so they decide they have to go figure out what was going on at this mask making facility the next town over. They go out there to begin sort of investigating, and immediately are kind of swept into this very sort of strange, I don't know, milieu of the town where everyone's Irish. They all work at the factory or somehow kind of support the factory, and very much sort of pay homage to Mr. Cochran, I think is what they call him. But yeah, it's sort of
So for years, so the guy's name is Connell Cochran, and for
Yes.
years I thought they were just like sort of over pronouncing the word colonel.
Colonel. Yeah.
And like
I did too.
years until the last time I watched this previous to this
Colonel.
watching, and I put it together that they're
I
actually just
hardly knew
saying
him.
Connell Cochran. I was like, oh, he's a colonel, because I've heard people say colonel before. It's stupid, but I've heard them say it.
No one has ever said that.
No, I get. Yes, I have.
I prefer to call him Big C.
Yeah, the big
Thanks.
C. Yeah, so he's running this factory. They're making these masks. The masks are everywhere. They're being sold in every outlet. And we keep seeing these commercials. You start to learn that something weird is sort of going to happen around these masks. There's the Joe mentioned the hobo that Tom Atkins shares a drink with, who sort of explains that they're doing some like occult stuff up in the factory. There's also the fact that they're very sort of tight-lipped around what exactly they're doing around these masks, and sort of they won't let anyone into the facility. There's all kinds of surveillance going on. There's cameras around town, all this. So there's this air of conspiracy and sort of suspicion. And Tom Atkins uses that to his advantage to seduce the bereaved daughter of this guy who's been killed like 2 days before. They form this somewhat bizarre relationship and then head off to this factory. Do we want to spoil? Like, I don't even know where you want me to go with it. at this
Sure.
point.
Let's just.
That was way better than I think this movie deserved.
Yeah,
plot-
I mean, and let's
plot
just say
description-wise.
that as they when they get to the small town, what they discover is like a creepy little town where the only jobs are the factory jobs. All the townspeople are real weird, and eventually they discover this much larger plot to kind of like destroy the world, which is kind of ridiculous. But we can get to that later. I mean, I think a lot of people have probably seen
To
this. but-
murder the children.
Yes.
Sunway.
Joe, had you ever seen this before? What'd you think about it this time?
I have a number of times, but it's been, I want to say probably like 10 years at least, if not more. I definitely had like a nostalgia for this. When did we say when it came out? It was like 84 or something, right?
82.
82.
82. So I would have been 4. But somehow I remember seeing this like pretty early when
was
it came out on VHS. So I had seen it a bunch of times. It definitely, I think for me, holds up nostalgia wise. The story, and we'll talk about it, is just completely ridiculous. Tom Atkins as a doctor is pretty unbelievable. To the point where like you start to wonder like
Unbelievably good is what you're
like
saying.
why did they bother making him a doctor? Like couldn't they have just made him like, you know, a cop or something?
He performs no doctor service.
No.
The only thing I can think.
He was the original McDreamy.
The only thing I can think is that it's their roundabout way to get him involved in the story, right? Because he's at the hospital.
I feel
when
like they
the
could
guy
have done
goes
it
there.
differently, like because at one like he never does any doctoring. Like he's in that hospital for maybe like 10 minutes and then just kind of disappears. Like
Yeah.
Also, he's drunk.
yeah, I mean whatever. We'll get to all sort of the ridiculous, but I mean I still enjoy this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It was interesting. I watched it with my wife and her sister, and they had never seen it before, so they were kind of going into this fresh. And I think it was interesting for me to watch it with 2 women who were watching sort of this womanizing drunk. and kind of be like why are these women like even attracted to this guy? And you know,
Well, it's rare that we don't watch a lot of throwback. Like it's rare that we see a movie from the 80s for the
Yeah.
show. And this was more so than other films that we've watched for the show, or even like horror movies that I can think off the top of my head, had more sort of like casual sexism and like
oh yeah,
just really.
I wouldn't even say casual was a part of it.
Oh yeah,
No.
no, that's
Pretty
fair.
overt.
but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I still enjoy this a lot.
Mark.
Yeah, so I came of horror age at a time where the internet was just sort of becoming a thing in like online horror communities, and everyone was very quick to be like, Halloween 3 is bullshit because it's not canon, and like it's 2016 and people are still mad about it, and like if that's still a thing, just get the fuck out
The
of
way
here.
that I
because-
always-
It's not canon because it's like not part of the story.
Right.
Like of course it's not canon.
The way that I always said it was like, I think this includes Casey. If you were old enough to have seen this in the theater and somehow expected Michael Myers, you are still allowed to be upset about this film. But that's it.
if you were bamboozled, but yeah, it's not a surprise at this point. I think this movie it's like it doesn't make any fucking sense, and the Tom Atkins thing is certainly problematic looking at it through a modern lens. But I think this has a place. I think it's really silly. I would say that it would make a great like creep show piece if it was 15-20 minutes. I also think that the conversation that we had about Phantasm a couple weeks ago is actually super relevant when it pertains to this movie, because I think if this movie wasn't called Halloween 3, it would be regarded in the same way that Phantasm is regarded. It's like it has a place. It barely makes any fucking sense. But if you're like in the mood for a kind of like really campy throwback horror movie, I think it fits perfectly. And like especially during Halloween, like you really can't argue with the lineup of like the 3 iconic masks, and there are some really great, very evocative like Halloween scenes in this movie. So I think it definitely deserves a place. It's real weird, and we'll talk about some of the weird stuff in it, but I feel like at this point you kind of just have to appreciate that it exists.
How much money do you think they spent writing the theme song to the Silver Shamrock?
To be
Silver
fair,
Shamwow.
to be fair to your point, Mark, like it's only slightly sillier than the original Phantasm.
Yeah.
But like it's neck and neck. I don't know.
I would probably take this over the original Phantasm,
I got
having
s-
seen both of them in adulthood and no nostalgia for them.
I got some bad news about your horse, dude. Casey, what you think?
So I did not see this in theaters when it came out. I was only 8 at the time. But I did catch this early on as I was becoming a pretty in-depth in my horror geekiness. So it was pretty jarring when I first came across it, because you watch Halloween 1, you watch Halloween 2, they fit together. You got this whole Michael Myers thing going on. I was really sucked into that. And then this one comes along and I discover this on VHS, and it's jarring, just plain that, because you spent there, especially at the time when I watched it, when it's like freshman high school, junior high or something, and you're getting all your news from like Fangoria magazines. It's easy to miss. So when you sit down, you don't know anything about this movie, you sit down to watch it, and you spend the first 45 minutes thinking, where the hell is Michael Myers? And it never shows up.
I could totally see too, like you go to a video store and you just grab 1, 2, and 3, and you don't look at the boxes, and you go
Yeah.
through them and you pop it in, and you're like, what the F am I watching right now?
So that was jarring. When I watch it this late in the game, rewatching it again, I've seen it a number of times. I still get some of that resentment in there when I watch it, but
Can't
I'm
let it
also an
go.
adult, so I'm not gonna, go on a rampage about how they murdered my childhood or anything like that.
Never forget.
Wish you would.
Yeah, well, maybe tomorrow. But ultimately, though, watching this movie, there is some great campiness to this movie. I love Tom Atkins and just about all of his horror movies he did out of the 80s. This one is no exception. The movie itself, though, while I could see it being better if it didn't have the Halloween name on it, I would give it a different shake, a fairer shake, I would say. But ultimately, I find this movie kind
Go
of...
on.
So it's kind of dull to me. It kind of stretches out. I like some of the aspects, the story, the plot, the weird stuff with the Stonehenge and stuff, but ultimately it's just kind of not exciting by the end of it. I find myself drifting a lot.
Schnars.
Yeah, so I actually picked this for the vote because I'd never seen it, and I really wanted an excuse to watch it, and I really enjoyed myself.
To be fair, this is probably going to make a better show than Ghoulies Go to College would have made. So.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Debatable.
They come out of toilets though, and that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, the trailer for that movie, I will watch that at some point. Yeah, I mean, I have read a fair bit about this movie. Like, I went in knowing almost everything, but like still never obviously having seen it, and therefore not necessarily.
Everything?
Well, I just mean like there's been, I think, a critical reappraisal of this film sort of over the last, say, 5 or 6 years, and so there's a lot of there you can find people talking about this movie online. So I mean, it is super campy. It is super dated. Tom Adkins is incredible. Not in like a he's my hero kind of way. Like, we haven't even talked about the fact that he is a legit drunk. Not like a
Raging alcohol.
Not
not like a ha ha, he's just a drunk. Like, no, he basically is like a problem drinker in this movie. That's
Like, this guy
established.
should be
right
around
up-
his kids, like, without someone watching him.
Well, at one point they're like racing off to get to this town, and he's like, I just got to make a quick phone call. All of a sudden he has a 6-pack of Miller High Life. It's like, where did this come from?
So
I need
let's
this
see.
for the ride there.
Out-
And then he gets a bottle of whiskey when he gets there.
Yeah, at one point he's hanging out by himself at a bar. Then he buys the 6-pack for the road. Then there's a scene where in the middle of the night he's wandering around town with a brown bag bottle of booze, and that he shares with a hobo.
He's a fucking booze tornado. It's crazy.
He's hanging out at this bar, and the nurses know to direct this woman that's looking for him
Yeah.
to that bar.
No,
Yeah.
that's great.
Oh, they said you'd be here.
I like that when he ran into the hobo, though. The hobo's like, I don't have any diseases or nothing. Can I have a drink? He didn't
Oh,
even
well,
hesitate.
Well,
He's like, yeah, sure.
But it really does make me wonder, sort of like, what was the point they were trying to make with the character, right? What,
That he was awesome, and that
Well,
alcoholism
I mean-
is super cool.
I'm establishing that up front. He's the man, but it's more like, was he supposed to be kind of like a down on his luck, kind of like hard luck guy that we root for? Who
He seemed
who
to be,
eventually-
once
he
we-
seemed to
once
be
we get
having
to
a
the
good
end game,
time.
We can talk about how, like, I feel like maybe they tried to say something about it, but like it's kind of weird when that's the central figure of the whole.
He seemed to be
Yeah.
having a good old time. He seemed all right to me.
No, I mean he does, and he's. Joe was kind of joking. We were joking about him not doing any actual doctoring, but he's remarkably competent, like throughout the film, right? He's actually like a fairly good detective.
High functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a functioning alcoholic. Yeah.
sure.
He does
no,
way better detective stuff than he does doctor stuff.
Yeah. So it's just such a weird movie.
He's like, it's really weird. He plays like a prototypical '80s cop, but he's a doctor. Like he does more cop
That's
stuff. Than
that's
doctor
kind of
stuff.
what I meant. Like, why even bother making him a doctor? Like,
Right.
Well, I think it's kind of like if the cops were investigating this, it would be like a different movie. It would you'd have to bring in other cops, and who the hell knows. But here it's like, oh, it's just one dude. What's he gonna do to stop this crazy plot?
Just one horny, drunk man in his 40s on the
Oh my
loose.
god,
It's just
his
I mean-
womanizing was so outrageous. Like,
And well, and
Casey,
it's-
you were around. Like, was this just like, people acted this way in '82?
I was
Like,
8, so I don't know that.
Yeah,
I can
Casey, what were you
speak to
like
that
as
fairly.
a drunk, horny
Oh.
8-year-old?
So I really think it really says more about John Carpenter, I think, than it does him, because 2 movies in a row, 82, 83 back to back, this and The Fog, where Tom Atkins just plays a total ladies man. In The Fog, he like picks up a hitchhiking Jamie Lee Curtis who looks like she's like 20 years old, and in the next scene they're in bed together.
yeah.
Like it's basically the same thing.
Well, so I'm interested, and I didn't get a chance to do a ton of research right before the show, but like, what exactly was Carpenter's involvement? I mean, so he and his wife are listed as.
I'm pretty sure he was very involved with this film.
Well,
'cause-
so he's not. He's listed as an uncredited writer, and he is listed as executive producer with his wife Deborah Hill.
yeah,
They're like
and
the,
Tommy Lee Wallace was a good friend of his that was involved
Yeah.
in the first Halloween, so there was definite connections there too.
Well, and all of the music, or a good chunk of the music. I mean, to me, one of the best sequences in the whole film is the very opening credits.
Yeah.
With the pumpkin sort of
Yeah.
like line drawing sequence. That was amazing.
It's very Carpentery.
Very
I,
80s.
I actually think
80s.
that's like those are like digital. I think that's a digital light thing or something like
Go on.
pixely lights basically.
ASCII art.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen this film.
Ones and zeros.
I probably first caught this film when I was like in college or something, And it's funny, I don't remember like really liking it when I first saw it, but yet over the years I've gotten to the point where I watch it like almost once a year. For a lot of the reasons that John has pointed out, like it's actually shockingly has a really good Halloween atmosphere. Like if that's what you're kind of going for, I think it really nails that part of it. The plot is just like beyond silly. We can get to the Stonehenge stuff, which really is where it just totally flies off the rails.
Well, they tee it up pretty well, I thought.
Yeah.
But-
You know, they
but
at least kind of tee it up.
There's
for
a
you.
beautiful thing about this film, and we talk a lot about camp and like what makes a film camp. And I'm always saying, like, to me, the films that are really successful at that, quote unquote successful, are the ones that like are not aiming for it. Like this film takes itself deadly serious, and it is so unbelievably silly, and that combination makes for just a really funny viewing experience. Like it's almost a film that's like better taken in with friends and some alcohol and like really just kind of hanging out and letting it wash over you, especially for the first time, because it's just so kind of enduringly silly in a lot of ways. That said, though, like I said, it's got great atmosphere. Tom Atkins, like, you know, we joke, but he's actually like a pretty compelling actor in the sense that I like watching him. Like he just is like a fun actor to watch. There's also a lot of gore, like a lot of crazy early
Yeah.
There are some silly
Yeah.
kills in this
like
movie.
but this was kind of the height of like
Freaky robot strength.
this was kind of the height of like the pinnacle of like early 80s practical gore effects, and that stuff is like just great to watch in this film. You know, if you're like an appreciator of that kind of thing. So I always tell people to go back to this if they haven't seen it in a long time or if they haven't given it a chance, because it's actually really enjoyable. I do actually agree with Casey though, like it does drag and it's weird, the kind of pacing, but when I think about it, like I'm most often watching this as background noise,
Yeah.
which helps a lot with the pacing issues.
I do think there. I don't know if there's ever been an alternate cut of this released, but there had to be stuff on the cutting room floor. This feels like it went through some sort of editing cut. I mean, it could have even been Carpenter kind of getting involved, because it's like weirdly fat in some areas, and then there's like some stuff that's like kind of bizarrely skipped
Are
around.
you body shaming this movie?
No,
Oh,
you know,
John.
but no.
kinda
Do we
weird
want to? I
like
know we've
that.
covered it at some point in the past. Do we want to cover really quickly the sort of like what the hell they were doing with this Halloween 3? Because I think, Eric, you just mentioned like this has a great Halloween vibe. I like totally agree, and it makes me curious for like what a Halloween 4 would have been like if people hadn't lost their shit over this and gone back to Michael Myers.
Yeah, I mean, so basically what happened was Carpenter's idea was that, and it's like, it's pretty admirable when you look back on it, right? So like at this point, I think Friday 13th 1 and 2 were out at this point. So the slasher sequel craze hadn't completely kicked off, but I think he could see where it was going and was trying to sort of head it off at the pass. And so his idea, and it's funny, like Mark says, it kind of feels like a piece of an anthology, because it really does. Because literally, if you listen in interviews, he'll say they were trying to do like a Twilight Zone thing, where Halloween would basically be this kind of overarching banner. You could tell stories that happen on Halloween night.
Yeah.
Looking back, like, it might have been kind of fun if you could have seen a few of these to see where they would take it eventually. But it did really bad. And then the series was dormant for like 6 or 7 years, until they finally greenlit Halloween 4, which made just like a crap load of money. Like Halloween 4 was a huge hit, which kind of proved, I think, how much people were wanting Michael Myers back. But yeah, I mean, I understand his train of thought, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it's a crazy thing. Like, yeah, the absence of Michael Myers is a big deal, but also you think about Halloween 1, which is obviously like this like a classic, and then you think about Halloween 2, which took that same formula and then compressed it down into something even smaller, because it all takes place in one setting. And then you transition to this movie that not only doesn't have Michael Myers in it, but is like so shockingly convoluted. There's like so much crazy shit that happens in this movie. It wasn't, to me, and again, I was born in 1986, so it's not like I was around to actually be qualified to talk about this, but it's just such a crazy departure. It just goes so far off the rails. It's not a small story. It's like the exact opposite. It's like, here's a plan to kill all the world's children and turn their heads into snakes or whatever the fuck is whatever is that?
No, that was it. That summed it
The
up.
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. I don't know though. Like it's the Tom Atkins thing. Really, he's just like at the center of this movie in so many ways. He's an oddly charismatic yet completely unlikable protagonist.
Well,
for
the
this.
character's unlikable, but I just think it's that Tom Atkins as an actor is like pretty charismatic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
Well, I mean, he made up all of his characters that he played in like 80s horror movies throughout all these slashers and stuff, where none of them are that different from each other. Everybody's got a vision in their head of Tom Atkins, and it's this Tom Atkins from Halloween 3 for the most part.
For me, it is Tom Atkins in the wraparound story of Creepshow when he comes home at the end of his long day and he cracks a beer and pours it into his glass, and he's like, "That's why God made fathers, babe."
Yeah. I mean, Casey brings up a good point. Like, Tom Atkins in all of these movies could literally just be like Tom Atkins going next door and like hanging out with his like other family that he's set up. Or like Night of the Creeps could be like older Tom Atkins from, Halloween 3. Like,
Yeah.
he's not like extremely versatile, but he's, sort of likable and everything.
But he filled a niche that they needed in the era, and he filled it well.
Schnars, at this point, I would really love to hear you explain the Stonehenge stuff.
Wait, hold on. Before we get there, can we just talk about the fucking robot head ripping? Because I just feel like we should really talk about it.
No,
Sure.
I think, before we get bogged
Actually,
down
it's
in
more
just
like this.
before we get bogged down in the story stuff, there's some incredible practical effects in this, just like really out of control, like weird robot dudes very slowly pulling people's heads off, crazy like laser face melting situations. Like if you look back at this movie for anything, it's really, there's just so many amazing effects, like very 80s, very just over the top and kind of gross.
I think my favorite is definitely when the one robot is like choking the dude. Was it the dude in the hospital? But then like, in addition to choking, he just decides he's also going to pluck his eyeballs out, and then he kills him.
That was pretty great.
He like kills him
then
by
he like
the bridge
rips
of his
like
nose.
his
Yeah.
like whatever the hell that bone is.
These robots were programmed for two very specific violent things: ripping off heads and sticking their hands in people's eyes.
Must destroy the eyes.
I mean,
The
to
eyes
me,
go
the
first.
scene that always stuck out to me and still like kind of stuck out watching this was the scene where the woman's alone in the hotel room and she's kind of like fidgeting with is someone making a call? Is it?
Sorry.
She's fidgeting with like the shamrock thing and it like shoots her in the face and like her.
Oh,
It's the best.
Kinda,
That was my favorite.
the thing that
Also a
freaks me
random,
out
also a
was-
random bug.
Yeah.
Like the thing that freaked me out about that was I remember watching it as a kid thinking that woman is so old. Like, what is she doing going to buy mass? And then watching it this time, I'm
What?
like, oh fuck, that woman is like my age.
She was like a business retailer.
Yeah,
Like,
I
she
was
was
like-
going to buy.
Because I remembered that scene and like I was like waiting for it, and then she shows up. I'm like, no, this can't be her. No.
I don't-
No.
I
Oh,
don't
there's a
think-
very sweet angle to this where like most of the people going to the factory are people that own costume stores,
Yeah.
and they're like driving out to the town to get their shipment, and it just made me.
I
It's
don't
got a little
think-
bit of Willy Wonka to it, like with the one family who is the top salesman from the country.
Yeah.
They invited him in for a.
But like, why would you
For a
kill your top salesman?
I
Just
know,
to
and then they
make
use him as an experiment.
Well, they don't need him. They don't need him
Because
anymore.
Stonehenge, bro.
Yeah, they don't need him anymore. They're gonna rule the earth at this point. After all
Yeah,
that.
Silver
that's true.
Shamrock is very anti-buy local with their
All
business.
these jobs are getting shipped overseas, guys. I hate
Yeah.
to-
Buddy's over enthusiastic wife did say, ha ha ha, they're not planning on Halloween next year.
All
That's
right,
true. She
John.
That
John,
guy's face would look better as a snake in a pile of bugs.
John, explain to me Stonehenge.
So yeah, once Tom Atkins and Ellie are inside the factory, they're captured. I guess she's captured, and he goes in after her. Somehow they end up back in there, and then, as all good James Bond villains do, Colonel Cochran, Connell Cochran. No, I did remember. Connell Cochran basically ties up Tom Atkins. He didn't even tie him up. I think he's just standing there and he's got like robot henchmen around him and basically explains the entire plot to him. And he says, look, we've been selling all of these masks all over the country using like scrapings of this piece of Stonehenge that we just stole out of Stonehenge.
By the way,
Like,
there's a hilarious news report in the beginning of the thing. Where
You
the
wouldn't
guy-
believe what we had to do to get it here.
It's like in the background of like the it's in the
Yeah.
background of like the gas station or something, and it's
Yeah.
like a British guy, and he's like, "Oh, and Stonehenge has been stolen," and it was
no,
like,
well, that's what I liked. Is like it was they teed that up for you, and then you because at that point you're like, why the fuck are they talking about Stonehenge? And then you see it, and you're like, oh, that's a
Yeah.
huge ass rock they just got there.
yeah.
Yeah, but Mark, as Mark said, he does have like a real dry, joke about the fact that it was
And
like
boy, are my arms tired.
it's a huge fucking rock they had to get from Stonehenge to.
But I'm still
California.
dying to know how they got it there because he's like, oh, you wouldn't believe it.
Well, it's
Robots.
California.
Fucking robots, man. They're super
You're
strong.
gonna have to wait until Halloween 13, and then you'll finally find out.
But
Do you know how many robots it took to steal Stonehenge?
But
3.
they've been using some kind of like scrapings from it to make computer chips that they're attaching to the mask, which, based on that woman who gets shot in the face's experience, these things are not even like that well adhered to the masks because they just like randomly fall off at some points.
Yeah, I did notice
Well,
that.
one of the like most hilariously, probably unintentionally campy scenes in the movie is when they're giving these like two couples the Willy Wonka tour, and the one family has a kid, and he's like, "Oh, I want this mask," and they're like, "No, that mask isn't finished yet. You need this mask," and it has
That's
the little coin on the back, and
Yeah.
then the one guy's like trying to get him to explain what the final finishing is, and he's like, "Oh, there's toxic chemicals, whatever," and they cut to this door that says like finishing room or something, or like whatever, keep out.
It's
in
like
huge
final
letters above
processing
it.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
trade. He
like-
says trade secrets.
Oh,
And I
it's
did,
amazing.
I do like that he says like, oh, well, there's like toxic chemicals and stuff. So like, here's the mask with all that shit on it. Put it on your son's head. You don't want to give him these that don't have the toxic shit on it.
To be fair, that kid was kind of an asshole, though.
There's something really
Aren't they all?
fascinating to me about the dad. Like the dad, that guy is so well cast as like
yeah,
a huckster. Like, it's like he's like a used car salesman. I don't know. There's something amazing about
What
that
else
guy.
was he in? Like, he looks super familiar, almost like he
Yeah.
was like the mayor from Jaws or something.
I always think he was like the one kid's dad from Willy Wonka, but I don't think it's that guy.
Oh.
He actually
If only
was
there
an
was a
actor, the
website
guy
where we could
who
look
sold
this up.
Carpenter his used car.
His
right
name was
before
Ralph
this.
Straight. He was in the Beastmaster, and they
What?
call me Bruce.
Really? Huh.
Interesting.
Interesting.
God
Some-
damn it. I mean, this movie's just fucking wild. I really can't.
Yeah.
It's so out of time and just kind of amazing. I don't know. I feel like I have every reason to hate it, but the more I talk about it, the more it kind of makes me happy.
All right. So very quickly, the masks are activated by a giveaway that Silver Shamrock is running. So
Stonehenge power.
Yeah. they're gonna play their commercial at 9 p.m. It is never specified 9 p.m. East Coast, West Coast. It's just 9 p.m.
Any coast, brother.
All the coasts, and then and then when that happens, it turns anyone wearing the mask into essentially like a pumpkin that bugs crawl out of. I don't
Hey,
know.
I just
how would
wanted
you
to
guys
say
know?
I
All
do-
fucking bugs and snakes.
I do want to say though that
snakes.
I remember in 1982 time zones weren't invented yet.
We should
Oh.
mention that BC did BC actually make this GIF or did he just find it?
I think you made it.
Of
I
Tom.
have no idea what you're talking about.
He made
me
a
more.
GIF of Tom Atkins slapping the nurse's butt
Yeah.
because we
See,
we
Oh,
asked
God
for it.
bless America.
We asked for it
so-
on the pre-show and it just materialized.
One of the most, I feel like the workings of the mask are sort of symbolic of this entire movie. Like, they're amazing, but they don't make any fucking sense. Like, what
Yeah, I
about
know.
It like
What
shoots
about
a
this-
laser into the back of the people's heads or something.
right? And turns their heads into thousands of bugs and snakes.
Well,
It's
sure.
like,
Yeah, I could see it being like with the with Joe's friend in the hotel room who was by herself, and you see the laser beam, her mouth's all blown up, and her eyes are all red and stuff like that. It makes sense that those masks would do something like that to the kids.
that makes sense, but at some point, some like drunk ass person involved in the making of this movie was just like, "What if there were snakes and bugs?" And then they
Well,
just like went
it's
ape
a-
shit with it.
It's like related to the Celtic fairy tales and whatnot.
Is it though? Is it though, John?
I don't remember that one.
Is it though?
Yeah,
Hello,
No,
Oh,
that-
and then the
pumpkin.
snakes come out of your head, don't you know, laddie? Ooh, fiddly-diddly-dee.
Doesn't it have to do with the runes or something? Aren't there
Yeah,
runes?
the
in-
runes and the pumpkins and the snakes. The best part about that though is the scene with the family like trapped in that test room. Is that like only the kid is killed by the pumpkin, and then the fucking snake takes care of the rest of it. It's pretty
Well,
brilliant.
mom
Like,
just like loses her
In
shit
other words,
and like
the
passes
snake
out. I think she's
knew.
still alive.
In other
though.
words, the snake
Fuck
knew.
snakes.
The snake knew because of like Stonehenge powers that after he busts out of the kid's head, his job is to kill any other adults who are in the room.
I have but one job.
Right.
So he bit Buddy in the pants.
And presumably on
Kill the
houses,
parents.
presumably in houses all across the country, each one of these snakes will know to bite the parents.
well, there's
There was
more than one
multiple
snake, too.
snakes.
Thinking the snakes and their role in this actually, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's
Snakes
just
got
deadly
think
shit's
their
gonna come out and kill anything around. I don't think there's too much programming and
Do
logic.
you
in
think like some of them, like some masks had scorpions?
Yeah.
Like some masks had hornets.
Maybe it's what's
Yeah.
in the people's heads. Hmm?
We did only see the
Oh.
pumpkin, so they could be different flavors.
That's true.
Mm.
You don't know if that snake was in that kid's head before he put that mask on.
There you go.
Ah,
Um,
but the snake's been there
California.
all along. Yeah, California's weird. I think one of the best scenes in this movie, like not ironically, is the scene where you get this like massive plot dump of what's gonna happen with these masks, and then there's like a pretty amazing montage of kids all across the country like trick-or-treating wearing those masks. I feel like seriously, not ironically, not sarcastically, pretty excellent scene.
It's
Like
cool
it's
scene.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally cool.
Yeah, I,
I
think
think
those
I-
are probably like the best part of the whole. Or I agree, they are the best part of the movie. It kind of makes it all worth it.
I think like watching this back, and Eric, I know you mentioned at the beginning is that, you know, this is like a pretty good Halloween movie, like not Halloween, the franchise, but like the actual time of year. Like, I think that was actually kind of my problem with it watching it this time was like Southern California Halloween, like it just doesn't have that same vibe to me
Sure.
that you have like in most movies that are set in Halloween where you kind of have like that fall time, like
Well-
leaves on the ground. Like,
To be fair, the first two Halloweens shot in California.
sure, but they did a really good job
Of
of
hiding it.
making it look like it was
Yeah.
the Midwest.
California, Illinois.
Yeah, you can see like where they have leaves and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, which I think is what kind of took me like up until the point where it gets to be Halloween and like the kids are trick or treating. Like really that scene that Mark was talking about where the kids are kind of going out and doing their thing, like you almost forget that this is supposed to be taking place around like, you know, October and even like Halloween in general.
Bump, 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 bump. I think it would be so cool. I don't know if you guys ever watch El Rey Network, which is what's his face's.
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think they should run that commercial during their commercial breaks because I think that would be awesome. They show some awesome
Mark,
shit on
they're
there.
trying to make
money?
on
No,
that
that's-
network.
That's fucking stupid. Money's dumb.
It
Yeah,
would
but-
be amusing.
It would be funny just to see it show up at least during Halloween time because those masks, like if you do the convention circuits and stuff, those masks have made a comeback.
And they're awesome. They're so cool. They're actually really great masks.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, they're super cool. I do
Thanks,
think it's
Jeff.
weird, and we haven't really talked about it, that they're banking on everybody in America wanting one of these three masks.
All the
Yeah.
kids would wear the same mask.
Like to the point where
1984
they're
was a
showing
simpler
scenes of
time.
like, here's a girl dressed up as an angel, but she's wearing a pumpkin mask for some reason.
Listen,
Yeah.
all you need is one mask per neighborhood, and then that snake's gonna take care of everybody else.
Joe, they did market the shit out of those masks, though.
True.
I mean, you
Yeah.
saw the commercials. So
Well, and they had the whole the giveaway if you were sitting in front of your TV at 9 o'clock. So they're getting kids on a sugar high.
We have to talk
Excited
about
to be home
too.
for something.
So this final scene, Tom Atkins escapes. We don't even have time to get into the robo girlfriend and how that makes no sense. But he makes his way somehow back to the exact same gas station that the movie starts in, which is kind of ridiculous enough given the like
well, but the
Oh,
guy was
yeah, I
running
forgot
from the
about
same
that.
town.
yeah, but it seemed they make it seem like he had to travel a long way to get to that town. But now
Yeah.
he's 5 minutes away from the gas station.
Yeah, it
that
was like they
right
made
there.
it like I assumed it was at least like a 2-3 hour drive, but then at the end,
It's like,
like
they're
he's
right
at
next
that gas
to each
station.
other. Yeah. So anyway, he walks in and the commercial's on and he calls somewhere and he starts screaming like, "You got to take the commercial off. People are gonna die." And he's like, I do have to say, Tom Atkins is acting his heart out in this scene.
Oh,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's screaming them to
He's
take the
going in.
commercial off, and it takes off one station, and then the kid turns it, and it's still on, and then it takes off another station. I'd just like to point out There's no thing where you just call one number and you get multiple stations to take something off the air.
Well, and if you called like an operator and were like, "Yeah, put me through to channel 6," they'd be like, "Go fuck yourself."
And also,
You're
this
drunk, Tom Atkins. You're always drunk.
and also this was the time when there's only 3 stations, which is hilarious because then he's just screaming to like take it off the 3rd station.
I would have loved it though if
he.
it would have been hilarious just to see how it turned out if he would have called the TV station and got Eric just to hear Eric say, "Who the fuck is this?"
No. This
Take
is
it
not
off
how
the
you do
radio.
it,
Just
guys.
hang up.
Oh, fiddly-diddly-dee.
Quick shout out has nothing to do with this movie, but it sort of does. Google Bloody Good Horror worst vintage Halloween costumes, and a post from our good contributor John Shelton will come up of all of the worst vintage Halloween costumes, and it's definitely worth looking at. That's
Great.
what-
The this is an interesting movie in that it tees up, and I'm sure there's been stuff before, but in the sort of pantheon of films that contain media that are going to either kill or drive people insane or something like that, this plays an interesting little role.
I will say I actually really like the ending. It's a great B movie ending in the sense that
Oh yeah.
it hints at this much larger scope, but there's no money, so what they're really showing you is a small slice of nothing, really.
Yeah,
But it's like
it's 2 kids watching the commercial on TV.
but it's actually really effective. It's like all in
Yeah.
your imagination.
But those were
you know?
Tom's kids, weren't they?
No,
No,
they
those
were
are
just
kids
like
running
kids
into
who
the gas
wandered off the
station.
They were just some
2
derelict.
kids that
Oh.
were literally right in front of Tom Atkins who could have said like, "Hey kids, don't watch that."
Or just
You're-
stolen their
I'm
masks.
sorry.
You're an adult sized man. Just take that mask off that child's head.
Your
You're right.
face
I
is
did,
gonna
I did
burst
get
into
the wrong
snakes.
group there, but they did show his kids getting in front of the TV at some
Well,
point.
Alright.
and also like what? So the thing I was talking about earlier, where like he sort of gets his comeuppance a little bit. I think at some point he tries to call his ex-wife, and she just kind of like brushes him off. Like you're.
Did anybody else pick up that his ex-wife was what's her name, Loomis from the first movie?
Nancy Loomis, yeah, she
Yeah.
was in Halloween. She also was in The Fog.
Yeah.
So I just was researching Stacey Nelkin, who plays Ellie, the Tom Atkins love interest. Little known fact here, well, maybe little known to us anyway. This woman dated Woody Allen when she was 17 years old, and he was
Aw.
42
That sounds old for
Gross.
Woody
in
Allen.
1979.
So maybe the
I mean-
relationship in this movie makes complete sense.
It is strange.
Also, does anyone? I always think that she
So
looks
Tom
like,
Atkins is Woody Allen. That's the
I always,
parallel we have.
I always think that she looks like Elizabeth Berkley.
Yeah, I could see that. I had a pretty hefty crush on her when I was a youngin, and I will say that crush is still going strong watching this again.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, provided she is frozen in time.
But I do think it was movies like this that, as I was a youngster, I thought like the moment I turned 21, there's just like sex everywhere, and that came crashing down hard to me when
You've got about 25 years of drinking before you become Tom Atkins, so you just gotta
Yeah.
figure that out. you
You're
know?
almost-
Joe, there's still
I-
time.
You're almost there, Joe.
Somewhere
I
Tom
gotta
Atkins and
imagine-
Reggie Bannister are at a bar, just like in a trench coat, like, what's going on, ladies? Just like trying to find somebody. It's
I gotta
fun.
imagine Leslie is like maybe 1 or 2 episodes going long before she walks out on me. So I'm like right on the hinge of Atkins-esque.
Oh,
The
God.
Atkins diet, if you will.
Terrible.
I can't believe I've never made that joke before.
I'm your understudy, Joe. I'm just trying real
I'm
hard.
so disappointed in myself.
Oh, you
Okay.
can take it. And,
I think
you know,
I think
take
that's
all of it.
gonna wrap it. Is there anything else you guys wanted to?
On the Atkins diet, you want to wrap it up?
I think there's a better time to wrap it up. I don't know. In terms of, I think this was a good vote for the patrons. I think
Oh yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
We tend to, when we have votes about on our like anniversary shows, people tend to pick older movies that we haven't had a chance to talk about. Because I think that like when we started off as a show, we used to talk about a lot more older shows. I just feel like there's so many new movies in theaters. We actually don't get a chance to talk about older movies the way that.
We get a lot of requests, or we'll get a question every once in a while about do we cover classic stuff, and the answer is yeah. When special
So
occasions.
if you got a classic in mind, you only have to wait 2 years until episode 500. So
And
Get
we
it
may
in now.
vote on it and may not watch it.
we might just watch Shriek of the Mutilated again. This is
Yeah.
America for
Should
now.
we reveal everybody's choices for the poll?
Oh yeah, I don't know if we ever did that.
Well,
We didn't
so who's,
reveal the rest of them. We know John's
This
and we
was-
know mine because I won't
well,
stop
wait,
talking.
this was John's.
Mhm. Correct.
Mine was Ghoulies, or no, mine was Chud 2. Mark's was Ghoulies.
My awesome pick.
Mark's was Ghoulies Go to College.
Sure was.
And then what are the other ones?
Mine was
Joe's-
The Gate.
Yeah.
I was Gremlins too.
I think the
Joe
gate
just
came in
wanted an
second.
excuse to touch himself. So
With like he needs an excuse.
Liz,
without
bitch.
without looking, I believe the gate came in second in the vote.
I believe you're wrong. I believe it was Gremlins too.
I think
Alright.
that the Gate.
Joe, if it makes you feel better, I watched Gremlins 2 anyways and loved it.
Yeah, I
Yeah, you
cannot
did.
watch that movie without getting uncomfortable.
I do genuinely think that the Gate would make for a really fun show someday.
Oof.
The actually, so I missed this because I moved, but one of the bars near where I used to live in Chicago was having a Gremlins film festival where every week they were showing a movie that was a Gremlins ripoff. So they showed like Critters and Ghoulies and all this other shit. I'm
Oh,
kind of.
have you guys ever seen Munchies?
No,
No.
I've heard of
I'm
it.
aware of the existence. I can
I've-
picture what
yeah.
it looks like in my head, but I
Oh
don't.
man, it is. I loved it as a kid, but I bet it does not hold up.
Oh, like you loved the peanut butter solution as a kid.
No, that movie's still good. Munchies, they marketed as like horny gremlins, but then you watch it and it was
Isn't
like
that Ghoulies?
Which is basically Ghoulies, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Munchies. Oh yeah, the cover is pretty horny.
it's them
um,
like grabbing onto a girl's leg or something.
Yeah, like looking up her skirt.
Like
uh,
next level horny.
But you're right, it's rated PG. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Ugh, the cover's pretty horny.
On that note, guys. on
Can
that
we leave you
note,
alone? Chuck?
it's time.
Tingly. The
I'm
cover
just
gives
looking at
me
the fucking
tingles
cover.
down in my man bits.
All right, guys, it's time to wrap it up. Joe, would you recommend Halloween 3?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark,
Maybe not until like mid-October next year, but yes.
Casey,
Yeah, but take some beer with you.
Shanners.
Yes.
I'm gonna say hell yeah. That's gonna do it for our review of Halloween 3. Let's take a break and do some fan mail.
Backup! I need backup!
A rookie cop facing unspeakable evil.
There's something really wrong here. These things aren't dying. I just blasted this thing, and it's still alive.
One of the most anticipated games of 1998, Resident Evil 2. If the suspense doesn't kill you, something else will.
Everyone's gonna die.
Hi, this is Adrienne Barbeau, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back.
The Adrian Barbobot.
Just once, Joe. I literally, when I select that bumper, I'm like, oh, Joe's gonna make that fucking joke again.
I love that joke.
It's so good.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address.
It's a good.
We got a really nice email from Mr. Framus. He says,
Are you gonna actually read it?
He says, I wanted to congratulate all of you on episode 400 and reiterate my love for you guys. As I mentioned in the 200th episode, in the 6 years I've been listening, I've gone through a breakup, gotten married, ascended through 5 jobs, and lost loved ones. As life continues to go on, I can look forward to your constant presence, reminding me of the important things: friends, laughter, new life, drinking, and the love of horror that binds us all. Your immersive listening experience has made my life all the richer, and wherever you are, T-Dog, we miss you. Many happy returns, Framus. We hear from
T-Dog.
T-Dog every once in a while.
Yeah, great shout out to T-Dog.
Also
But,
famous, but
Yeah,
I mean,
huge
T-Dog.
thanks, man.
Hope you're doing well out there, T-Dog. But thank you, Mr. Framus.
Um,
And
We also have an email from Aussie Andy here. I'm at my desk at work watching episode 400 on the Patron app on my iPhone while I try to look like I'm working.
there's an
Thankfully,
app?
no one can see my phone, so I can watch and work and eat lunch at the same time. Watching the video, I noticed that Joe is the only one who has chosen to buck the trend and not have a beard. Has Joe ever rocked a beard before?
I mean, I'll go just like being lazy, like won't shave like 2 or 3 weeks, but no. I might be the only person on this show like more white than John, so like I get like
Yeah.
super patchy, so it doesn't work.
No one's whiter than
I,
John.
I appreciate that someone finally admitted it.
I-
So
Yeah.
he also says, not sure if I sent this, but I recently got a horror leg sleeve. He sent me like 10 pictures. I can't post all of them, but I'll put this one up in the video. It's pretty
I
cool.
believe they call that a shin sock.
It's pretty wild.
oh, wow.
But
Oh,
he's
damn.
literally it's like both sides all the way up and down his leg. So there's like
Yeah,
a
bruh.
lot. There's a lot of pictures. But they're
Damn.
pretty cool.
Very nice.
Your ankle's bleeding.
Also,
That's,
great shout out to the Patreon app. He mentioned you can actually stream the video. You can also listen to any of the spinoff shows that we post through Patreon.
Great.
So
It's awesome.
yeah, we have not promoted the app, but
Also, an additional shout out to the Something Red Campfire episode, which is definitely worth a listen and is in that vein.
Hey,
Oh.
shout out to all our shout outs. Huh?
Yeah.
You guys.
Shout out to shout outs.
He also says
dog!
he also says that of all the Halloween movies, the first one still gives me chills. What classic movies still give you guys the chills? I think that there
I
are
see-
moments where if I'm watching The Shining in the right mood, it gives me the creeps.
Oh, Christ.
correct.
I say this a lot when we talk about kind of like horror memories, but I just feel like the first time that I saw The Exorcist when I was way too young to watch The Exorcist in a pitch black room, like it's still if I watch that movie, I still get
Oh, yeah.
like 10-year-old PTSD from watching The Exorcist way too.
I was
young.
about to say the same thing. Like we just watched that like I want to say like 2-3 weeks ago, and that movie still will scare the shit out of you. Like it's
Yeah.
so good.
I could respect that, but there's they're doing a TV series now off of The Exorcist, and there was a moment, I think it was in episode 5 at the end, there was a twist reveal, and it gave me chills all over again. Brand new. It was pretty cool.
You can still do it, man. You can still.
she did? Your cunting daughter.
Okay, nope. Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Twitter me.
Holy balls! All right, so we got hashtags on hashtags this week.
Twitter me timbers.
But I'm gonna start.
Shout out
start
to
with
hashtags, huh?
yeah, right. So one of our newer hashtags that we use is BGH Classics, which if you subscribe to our back episodes as part of Patreon, so patreon.com/Bloody Good Horror. Sorry, I've been drinking.
Mark makes it through
episodes.
this. I'm gonna be
If you're
shocked.
listening to our back episodes and you hear something that you feel like you should bring to our attention, tweet it with the hashtag BJH Classics and we'll read it on the show. The first one is not really a tweet I can read on the show, but something that definitely deserves to be talked about. Sinister Six made Bloody Good Horror bingo. And I feel like we should
it's
dedicate at
amazing.
least 15 minutes to talking about this
Maybe not 15, but how about
because
one?
it's incredible.
It's magical.
We get some of the harshest but most loving criticism from our longest fans, and I was reading it, and it's amazing. So we've retweeted it, but you should also follow Sinister Six. Some good cuts from this. Eric interrupts John's synopsis. John evades
Weekly.
Eric's
Weekly.
accusations of white privilege. Joe makes a Sophie's Choice joke.
I had to try really hard at the top of this episode.
Brotherly animosity between the Newell brothers boils to the surface. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, hashtag get a daughter. I liked this one. Quote, I went into this. I think we all start our reviews with I went into this. So that's it's pretty amazing. Like very dedicated listener and deserves all the credit in the world because I've read it a number of times and it made me feel terrible about myself.
I'm very self-conscious now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll post that on Patreon for listeners to check out.
Also, sorry, just because John was the last person that spoke, favorite one, M. Night Shyamalan was my.
I believe it's Shyamalan. Please,
Yeah.
come on.
Shyamalan. All right, next one. So next BJ's Classic is from Claire Quilty. I enjoyed Joe's inappropriate remarks. Episode 180. What's the point of masturbating in a theater if no one's there to watch? I have no idea what that was in reference to, and I'm not even going to look up what episode 180 was, but
No,
that sounds like Joe.
classic me.
Classic Joe. So we'll do Ask BGH again every week. If you have a question to ask us, tweet it with the hashtag AskBGH. This one's from A Howard 0614. Damn, that's some scary stuff. Check out Channel Zero on Sci-Fi if you love TV horror anthologies. Have you all seen it? Hashtag Toothchild.
I've been watching it. It's weird. I can't say that it's necessarily scary. There's some creepy moments, but the best thing about it is, well, I'm not saying it's the best thing on TV, but as far as horror goes and TV, I don't know where the hell they're going with it. So kudos to them. I'll watch it to the end just to see what the hell's going to happen because I can't figure it out.
All right. Guys, should I watch Westworld?
Yes.
Yeah, I need to watch. I need like to get it when it's done though, like so I can just bang through the whole thing.
Also, Black Mirror. You guys watch the Black Mirror?
Oh God, yes, love
Should I
Black
also-
Mirror.
So here's my question, John. Can you
Yeah.
explain this to me?
Sure.
So it's season 3 of Black Mirror, right?
Yes.
Why have I not heard about it until now? It seems like right now everyone's like,
Is Black Mirror the thing that's like it's an anthology?
Yeah,
so every
it was a
episode's
BBC
different?
anthology show, or one of the British networks, is Sky or BBC. I don't know who originally kind of aired it, but it ran on Netflix. Netflix got it probably like, I don't know, a year or two ago, and that's when like a lot of U.S. folks like first got. It's when I got exposed to it. Shelton actually is the one who turned me onto it. We
That
did
makes
we did a whole Fisticle that was about like I think we might have covered all of the episodes actually in like one. It's 6 episodes because it's a British show, so it's like 2 seasons of 3 episodes. It did so well on Netflix that they went to the creator. I think his name's Charlie
Crumpet.
Yeah, Charlie Crumpet.
Charlie Fuck Crumpet, I think was his name.
Well, I was gonna say his name was Charlie Black, but I like that would be weird that the show's called Black Mirror, so I don't think it's that. But in any event,
Charlie Mirror.
well, in like sort of typical the same way they did with God damn it, the Arrested Development, they kind of went to them and they were like, "Yo, this show's doing great. Like, can we basically pay you a shit ton of money to do some more?" So there's actually 6 episodes in this new season. They brought in a bunch of television writers from sort of like famous American shows to kind of do one-off episodes with the creator.
So to
And there's
answer your question, Mark, it's British. That's why you hadn't heard of it.
yeah, it's I mean I don't know, it's really really good. The
All
like
right. So if I'm gonna all right,
Do
so
you even have BBC
sub-question,
America, bro?
If I'm gonna watch Westworld or Black Mirror first, what should I watch? first?
Westworld.
yeah Westworld probably.
Okay.
I
But
say that
you-
having seen none of it, but I know.
Westworld's like way more timely. Like you want to be participating in the sort of like dialogue, I would think, versus like Black Mirror. No one's gonna be like, episode 3, season 2. How crazy was that?
John, literally the last thing I ever want is to be participating in the internet dialogue about a show that I'm watching.
Oh come on, Westworld's great because there's so
Halloween
many.
3 doesn't even have Michael Myers.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, no, but the thing that's great about Westworld is there's so many crazy theories that you can spin out from it because it's just the type of show that lends itself to that kind of stuff. So I don't know, it's fun. Whatever, Eric. I know you're above internet nerddom, so I won't.
right.
Says the man who
You guys
watches
know
people
they've
play
been
video
doing
games.
they've been doing military drills in
John.
abandoned Walmarts.
John, watching people play video games is like Zen relaxation.
All right.
Yeah,
There's nothing,
I
you know?
fuck with Let's Play videos.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's see. Next one is from Nerds of Gore. Why did Eric start calling Mark a web beaver?
I have no idea.
So I think this was kind of a classic. You know, you will notice if you're a longtime listener of the show, Eric is really great with the introductions, but sometimes
Thank you.
he kind of stumbles on himself. And I think he meant to say
Never.
something like, "I've been busy as a beaver working on the website." And he just lost most of the words in the sentence, and he just called me a web beaver. I think that's what happened.
No, I believe it was a more spun out sort of. He was talking about you being busy as a beaver, and then said you were away. Like I actually think it was.
And he just yelled beavers and started drooling out his microphone. No, but I actually think that became a thing last year because I like did a huge overhaul. No, was that last year or 2 years ago? I think that was 2 years ago. Did a huge overhaul to the website where I was truly busy as a beaver working on the website. So there you go, bloodygoodhorror.com. Next one is from my new favorite, until T-Dog starts running us again, my new favorite person on Twitter, Chupacabro7. Is there any chance Eric will be wearing a hashtag Pogless that says 400 on today's episode?
Nice. No Poglisses. I'll wear one if someone sends me one though.
What about a Slammerless?
Oh, those are harder. You need a drill to make that.
Yeah, that weighs
You
on
can
your
make
neck.
you can make a Pogless literally with a pair of scissors because it's just cheap ass cardboard.
I gotta find a picture of you with the Adidas shoelace around your neck. It's like really a thing I have to do.
Yeah.
Next,
I mean, you're not even mentioning the fact that in the era that I did that, I had like shoulder length bleach blonde hair.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I figured I'd let you off easy.
Jeez.
I didn't want to go.
The
You're right.
depths of Eric's onion are just deeper than others, I think.
Amber was the color of his energy.
I really wanted to be a surfer. I really wanted to be a surfer when I was a kid, even though I grew up nowhere near the ocean.
Yeah.
You were quite landlocked growing up.
The capital region.
It was a
Yeah,
night.
You don't
Hudson
really
Valley.
catch great waves on the shit slick shores of Boston Lake.
It was a 90s thing. All right, keep it on the rails. I'm tired. Daylight savings time.
Oh.
Let's go.
All right, next one. is from- this is from Yogzoth. In which of the past 400 episodes did each of you get the most inappropriately drunk? Man, whatever the one was with the 40s, that was a problem.
Yeah, the last time I think I even got drunk on the
That was
show
a
was that
Spooktacular.
one. Yeah, it was a spooktacular.
Yeah.
I think it
That
was.
was you got hammered in all
I
of
think
them.
it
I
was.
don't think it was the 40s spooktacular, but there was another spooktacular that I don't quite remember the end of, and I remember playing with a knife at some point.
Dude, like there was one where I drank a bunch of pumpkin, so clearly that one is a black hole. But the one that we drank 40s, I think, just gets extra credit for ruining the next like 3 days of my life, just stripping my innards, and it was a real problem. All right, so that's it for SBGH, and now because the show's gonna go super long, we actually ask people to tweet us with the hashtag BGH400, because if you haven't noticed by our drunk rambling at this point, we are in episode 400 of the podcast. And Eric, you might want to either take a nap or wake the fuck up, because this is going to take a very long time. This first one is from New Jersey Nick. Joe can only ever be replaced with Yuri. It's the law. Thanks, guys, and congrats.
Aw.
Never worry. It is Yuri.
No need to worry. Here is Yuri.
That's so good. Bless Mother
I
Russia.
take girlfriend rabbit and I boil rabbit. We eat rabbit. Girlfriend no threaten to leave.
Oh, Jesus. Next one is from Dusty Evely. Pretty sure Joe has said Mo Vaughn 100 times and no one has ever acknowledged it.
No one's ever picked up.
Joe says a lot of shit that I just like to just keep moving.
Yeah, if we respond to everything that Joe says, we're never getting through this show.
What's better is now that we have video, you can see the look in Eric's eye when he's like, I'm ignoring that one.
Yeah.
Also
If you
regarding
just watch this entire episode,
I think Joe does the podcast standing up now, which is awesome because he just has free range of movement during all of the. If you ever need a reason to watch these videos, it's because Joe is truly free for the first time. Next one, Mark72 Carol. Eric's mind is blown by the explanation of the old man and let the right one in. I have no idea what that's.
I vaguely kind of remember that. Yeah.
Well, the old man it was her caretaker.
Right. No.
Yeah,
there
but I
was-
think it was,
there
like,
was
we kinda
something
discovered that,
about
like-
it that I didn't connect until somebody said it in the show. I remember that.
They were friends probably like when they were kids and like,
Yeah, well, the old
Yeah,
man
when he was the new kid's
previous
age.
boy,
No,
yeah.
there was an aspect of that though that I didn't piece together.
It's
until
like
the show.
7 years later, and we still can't make sense of it. So there you go. Next one, us from our. We should take a moment to talk about this. This is from our friends at NOTLP. We can't believe that it's been 400 years, guys. You look so young and smell so nice.
Aw.
Thank you.
Mm.
Neither
do
of
smell
those
like
things are
that,
true,
don't we?
but thank you.
They're our besties. I mean, we say this on every anniversary episode. They were the reason we got to the game in the first place, and they've been our very best friends through the whole thing. So
And we go glamping with them.
sure do. Just the best people. Love them deeply. Next one. D. Jared. The time Joe. Oh, so I should say that we asked people to tweet their favorite memories of Bloody Good Horror with the hashtag BGH400. I missed that part. So these make more sense now. The time Joe recounted the story of his daughter demanding that he shake her hand.
I do not remember this, but it doesn't
I vaguely
sound
do,
completely
yeah.
insane.
That sounds about a regular night in the Charnews household.
Mhm.
Can the prisoner play? Next one is from Hex Blutman. Eric can put this in the feed if I send it to him or if somebody else does. Picked a great shirt to celebrate BGH's 400th episode. It was a pretty cool. It was like Haddonfield University or something. It like looked like a hockey-ish shirt with Michael Myers on it. Someone else want to take care of sending that to Eric so he can put it on the feed?
Sure.
Cool. Next one. Our good friend BC likes you. Congrats on 400, guys. You all are easily my favorite podcast. Hold on to your butts because I'll have more gifts coming.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.
Prove it.
Oh.
Yay, butts.
No doubt. Next one. Hex Blutman also. Cricket lasers? Question mark? Exclamation point? Yeah. And snakes. Also snakes.
Snake laser.
Next one from our long lost friend, RJNC. Remember that time Joe picked a beer based on the country a movie took place in? And then next week he repeated a beer pick?
Two things.
Yes.
I have picked beers based on where the movie takes place multiple times. And second, no one has been able to tell me what episode it was where I did Jenny's email before.
Blazing.
No, but I'm pretty sure you did.
No, I distinctly remember telling the story that I told on last week's episode, and I think that's where the confusion came in. But I don't know.
Man.
Give me an episode number, fuckface. Just tell it to me.
RJNC's bringing the heat.
I mean, I think Joe stepped up to the beef. I think it's on now. I think we're on. Next one, also Hex Blutman. I need a Key and Peele skit to explain this movie to me. Oh, sorry, Robot Grandma. I need a Key and Peele skit to explain this to me. All right.
Oh yeah, I always forget about the robot grandma thing till it happens. It's the weirdest part of it. And then he's like, it was a vintage piece made in Germany, 1775.
It literally looks like you just put the head right back on.
I've been
Grandma smells of cabbage.
I've been meaning to replace it.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. Next one, Alan Murch. My favorite memory, every goddamn second of your show. Always truly a joy listening to you guys. Oh, God damn it, Alan Murch.
One of my favorites is the Alan Murch merch table.
Terrible.
Move on.
A black hole.
Move on.
Terrible.
Move on.
This next one is from Valley of the Goths. My favorite memory, the witch.
The witch.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
It'll never get old.
No, and this time next year when I'm watching The Witch, I'm going to talk about The Witch, and I just can't wait.
My favorite, you know what my favorite BGH moment is? That time that in the offline chat, I sent that Ewok picture where the tagline says "Prepare your anus," and it was apropos of nothing going on the show, and Joe lost it so hard that the whole show derailed for like 5 minutes.
Whoa,
I think we can all agree that the presence of the chat has been detrimental to the quality of the show overall.
Yeah.
But has also been responsible for most of the like belly laughs.
Joe
just, like,
was
every episode
crying.
I think about that, and like anytime I laugh at something on the show, I think that was funny, but it was nowhere near as funny as the Prepare Your Anus.
There used to be a lot more ridiculous shit shared in the chat, we should say.
We have kind of
how many years? How many years has it been since we started the show with the chive in the chat?
Also, it took me like 100 episodes to realize I could turn off the sounds in chat.
Yeah.
So like those early episodes, you just hear like bloop, bleep.
Yeah, you could definitely time everyone losing their focus to the blips that happen in the chat. Apple pen. All right, next one is from Mi Corazon, Mi Amor. Episode 301 introduces Cece. And Joe claims that John has been fired and the movie takes place in the city of France. I have no idea.
I think it must have been As Above, So Below.
Yeah, I remember because CC went on like this whole thing about like alchemy and all that, and
That's
like I think that's when we realized that CC was probably better for the show than John.
I was just telling somebody about that movie yesterday.
Or anyone, really.
Thumbs up to that movie, by the way. I still love it.
Yeah, it was spooky.
I've never seen it.
It was
You
okay.
should check it out.
It was
I'll
great.
put it on the list.
It's like a theme park ride of
Yeah.
like a first-person movie in a spooky cave.
Sure.
Right. CC replied to that. Haha. The beginning of lots of witchiness to ensue. Next one is from Stout 2, 114. Then who was phone? The pinnacle of BGH excellence. Thanks for the memories and party on, dudes.
Yeah, I remember almost wetting myself at that one too.
Yeah, that was a good one.
If these memories are any indication, the best moments of the show are not when we're talking about the movie. They're just like the dumb shit that we talk about around the movie.
Well, that was like someone, maybe it was him, sent us in like this weird ass email that was like broken English and like ended with "who was phone."
Well, so it's an actual meme. I found out later. I just pasted.
Yeah, it's from that movie, The Room, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No, I
We don't. We still don't have any fucking idea. We
This,
don't know.
no, according to this Know Your Meme website, it was spread across communities like NeoGAF in 2008. It does not say anything about the room.
Apple Pan. All right, next one is from The Lausch. You remember when someone called to talk about your last show, but they accidentally called NOTOP's hotline? That was good.
No,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Sorry.
All right,
Kinda funny,
next
though.
one from Schlocky Grotto. The discovery of these are 3 separate favorite memories. The discovery of MovieGuide.org, for sure. How much cod The Rock eats.
That was a favorite moment.
God bless you.
God bless you.
And of course,
In God we trust.
God damn it.
and of
Oh
course,
my God.
the promos for Spooky School.
Yeah.
It's practically. Next one, Chase TX. I've been listening since 321, and that's insane. So that's like a number that someone can start at 321 because we're now 100.
Yeah.
There was an episode around then where Joe went nuts talking about the Rock's cod diet. Yeah.
It is nuts.
Next one from Catastrophic. The 400th episode of Bloody Good Horror is live. # hype. No doubt.
Hype.
Next one, also from Catastrophic. Joe's dancing is beautiful.
It really is.
Thank you.
It's
true.
like it's very interpretive.
You are beautiful.
It's
in
non-
every
it's-
single way.
It's non-traditional in a way,
I close my eyes and let the music take me
and
somewhere.
yet undeniably sensual.
And inexplicably Joe.
Yeah.
And I'm not wearing pants.
I mean, why would you? Next one from our good friend BC Likes You. We already talked about this. Heard you guys need a Halloween 3 ass slap gif. I do not approve of this ass slap, simply providing evidence.
I didn't even notice it. I didn't even notice it in the movie.
No, neither did I.
Like, I don't know where it happens.
He's
Also,
like flirting with her for like a full minute.
That was
He's
the
talking
first,
about how he should marry her, and then he slaps her on the ass.
Also,
that
the
was
awkward-
the first
the
commentary
awkwardness-
I sent out on the movie when I was watching it the other night.
Yeah.
The gif really captures the awkwardness, especially because she also awkwardly slaps back. It's like
Yeah, she does hit him.
in the script. It says Tom Atkins lab coat ass slap, and then it just says nurse slaps back. I'm guessing is how that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next,
She slap.
next one is from Pittman 1382. I don't know what's better, Schnarr's talking about squeezing it too tight, or where Casey's mom shares her memes.
It's the memes.
Yeah.
It's just the tip.
It's the memes.
Next one, very
was the
appropriate
best.
Twitter handle for tomorrow's election, Reptilicus2. Love the spectacular where Joe sang 90s songs on request. You guys are the best.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
The thing about Joe and 90s songs and alcohol is you don't even have to make a formal request. You just have to kind of start talking about it, and then it
Just
just happens.
happens. It's really like whatever song I heard in like the last 3 days somehow gets like boiled upside here, and then alcohol brings it out. And
I like when
Just spills over.
I like when either me or Joe starts making like Howard Stern references, and then the other one of us is the only one who knows what we're talking about. When one of us is just like proper modulation.
Everyone has like a weird part in their brain that connects with Joe really well.
Yeah.
Like I send Joe really shitty internet videos all day because I'm like,
oh my God.
I think I might be the only person who loves this, but I actually think Joe might like it more.
Mark and I have like an ongoing battle of like, oh no, I saw that 2 days ago.
Yeah, Joe and I haven't talked about anything substantive, maybe ever. I don't think. I think we just live on the internet. That's just how it goes. All right. Oh my God. Oh wait, I was gonna say last one, but we have 2 new results. This is from the Lausch. Oh, Eric's weird class jealousy of the OG Paranormal Activity couple on Arts TV.
That's the
Hashtag
best.
bourgeoisie.
There was
That might be like
something-
the top 5
There
for
was
me.
something just really off-putting about that guy in that movie. I did not like him.
You know what's funny? And that's like so outdated.
You know what
now.
it was? It was partially
TVs
how
are so cheap now.
no, but forget about TV. It was partially how condescending he was to the housekeeper.
Oh, stop it. You're now you're like
serious.
contextualizing this thing.
Oh, it was when we first talked about it, it was
Come on.
totally just about the TV.
No. Go back to the episode. You can
Oh,
hear
man.
we're talking about the housekeeper.
What about the other Paranormal Activity where the guy kept trying to force pop chips on everybody?
Yeah,
I
Dunkin'
think
Donuts.
yeah,
like,
I
hey,
think No, I think we
should
can
just
all
go get
agree
some Dunkin'
the
Donuts.
best Paranormal Activity, R.I.P., is part 4, I think, where the dad is just sleeping on the couch and eating chips and beer the whole time, and he's like totally nonplussed by everything. And then that guy died.
I still like the one
Way
that
to
was like,
deflect that.
what's the non-canon one called? That's like takes place in
The,
LA.
the marked ones.
Marked
and
ones?
that is
Yeah,
canon, dude.
that's my favorite.
You don't remember? They go through a door at one point and they're in the house from the first film. That's totally canon.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, dude,
Oh,
we
yeah,
saw
yeah.
we saw 3 together, right? And then we saw the promo for the marked ones. Was that a thing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I love it. The tweets keep coming in. Next one. This is from Yogzoth. Can Eric go to bed yet?
I'm so tired. It's daylight savings. This is like an hour past my bedtime right now.
I've saved up everything and now it's all gone. All right. This next one is from Lowly Ant. I think we're learning from BG's 400 that the Joe character must be stopped.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. And before someone sends in another tweet, this last one's from Joe Baum in 1980. Thanks for all the shows. I really enjoyed them over the years. And that's a great place to cut it off.
You're welcome, buddy. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
listening.
Thank you.
I don't even know what that means.
Oh.
It's going to do it
Eric could not turn on that outro music any quicker.
for our discussion of Halloween 3. We thank you for joining us, whether you're listening to this after the fact, whether you streamed us on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you for joining us for episode 400. We do truly appreciate your patronage each and every week. If you, of course, want more Bloody Good Horror, you should check out bloodygoodhorror.com. And also, if you want to find out how you can watch this live stream every week, go to patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Really want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys for checking in for 400 episodes. Some
We
of
love you.
Some of you have been around for 400 episodes, and that is mind-blowing.
No doubt. Stick around.
Yes.
It only gets better
400
from
more
here.
coming.
Stick around. I'll only have more energy from here. Episode 400 in the books. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll talk to you next week.
God bless Donald Trump's America.
Oh,
Thanks,
boy.
y'all.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.